Alright, and we are back and recording another video. This time I'm finally getting around to my end of the season F3 rankings before we do my F3 predictions for the new season. So obviously I should have done these probably quite a long time ago, but I hadn't been doing much stuff on YouTube as I've gotten a new job that's had me a lot busier this last year compared to the year before. But I have got some time off and looking to work on some of that. You could probably ignore this thumbnail. I know this is the one for my mid-season predictions. I'll update that. And for anyone who's new to this, I stream on Twitch. It's gonna go down here probably in just a second. So some of my viewers got to watch this live. And at the same time, if you're just interested in watching some F1 games, whether that's like actual racing or I particularly like to play F1 Manager. That is my style of gameplay, is I like management games, whether that's F1. I'll play a little bit of Football Manager, NHL, etc. But yeah, let's get into this. So what we have is basically the same setup as we always have. I've calculated the top 30 drivers from F3. So actually not even necessarily the top 30 drivers. Drivers who did like less than 4 rounds. So like it isn't really fair to judge them, as it's kind of hard to really make an assessment off of like if they only did 1 round, so I can't criticize that or heck even really promote it, because as we've learned from one driver who only did 1 round last year, it doesn't always translate. So with that being said, let's go over the parameters. Those are like what I've got highlighted there in the red boxes there. That is more or less a rating that I've generated based off of various statistics. So even though, like, for example, one guy might be ranked 2 and one guy might be ranked number 3, for example, you might see that the rating that I have for them is extremely close to each other. So if there is some times where you might be like, I might put that guy ahead of that guy, you might see just how close I really had them. So with all that said in mind, let's kind of go over the things that I tend to judge on. In this case for F3, so I've average qualifying position, feature race finishing position, feature race. I wrote it down twice. I have feature race. One of those is supposed to be sprint race. I can't really edit that on this screen. Whatever. A combined average race finishing position, average quality and like race positions combined. Their actual qualifying pace ranked, race pace ranked. I find a way to calculate out the difference between them for those drivers who aren't in every round or whenever there is a DNF. The points scored, how many points they're scoring per round, and like a combined average of the qualifying and race pace. So, of course, yeah, DNFs are kind of hard to judge. So any DNF where the driver was deemed not at fault due to like reliability issues or someone else taking them out are not counted into average finishing positions. So for example, I know it's a grandiose example, but like who was it? I think it was Pepe Marti crashed into Ito Cohen on at Spa during the sprint race when he just like came back onto the track after almost DNFing himself. Obviously, I'm not gonna penalize Ito Cohen in a situation like that, but I think it was Pepe Marti. I might be completely wrong, but Pepe Marti for that example, because it was his own fault that he got DNF'd, he gets penalized for that. And based on the same factors, so yeah, any DNF where the driver was at fault and took themselves out of qualifying or the race was recognized as an automatic P30 in that session. So even if there was like 7 drivers that didn't finish the race, P30. I don't care if they would have been P23 at the time that they DNF'd themselves. P30. Where you're taking yourself out of the race has to be heavily penalized. So, sessions where the drivers had a DNF, comparisons were made with their teammate or representative rival to come up with a value from dry sessions only, because there's too much variability in wet sessions, and yeah, where both drivers being measured finished the session. So we can't be using partial statistics, essentially. We want to have like solid numbers. I can't be coming up with a whole system just based on guessing. That's not this kind of video. I do make those kinds of videos for prediction videos. Those are just kind of guessing. This is not that. So let's get into it. Starting with my bottom 6. Obviously, I can't do like individually analysis for all 30 drivers. We will do that for the top 6, but we're not going to do that quite yet. So the bottom 6, this was quite clear. These drivers just kind of were never really in it. They were just kind of there. So yeah, that's Tommy Smith, Hunter Yaney, Ito Cohen, Alex Garcia, Peter Woznicki, and Roberto Faraya. Now, I know the argument can be made like Woznicki and Yaney didn't really complete the full season. It's kind of really hard to judge them, but they each completed at least a minimum of 4 rounds, enough for me to come up with representative statistical data when making this. Oh, and at the same time, because this is new, it's probably really hard to see, so I've got the rating box that I always do. I've also got a box from my preseason prediction, as well as my mid-season power ranking. So we can kind of go through all of them. Roberto Faraya, I guessed that he would be the worst driver. He was the worst driver pretty much the entire time. Almost, like, none of these drivers I was very far off. Tommy Smith kind of like actually was a little bit better than I expected. Hunter Yaney was worse than I had expected, but like most of these drivers were kind of right around what I thought they were going to be. So no real big surprises there. Let's move on to the next group. I think we start going into just groups of 4 at this point. Yep, so groups of 4. So the next ones, Kalen Frederick, Rafael Villagomez, Sophia Florsch, and Oliver Gray. So there was a couple disappointing drivers in here, most notably Kalen Frederick. He is a veteran in F3 at this point, and preseason, I actually thought he would be a top 10 driver. And he was pretty bad in my midseason rankings. I had him at 20, and he went down actually even further, down to 21. Not much further, but still very, very, very low. Let's see, did any of these drivers get dead on so far? I'm curious about. Oh, no, just Faraya. Just Faraya, but a couple of them I have within 1. So I'm pretty happy with my preseason predictions so far. Outside of Kalen Frederick, I was way off on him. Let's go into the next group of 4. I think there's about 3 groups of 4. Right. So we got Mary Boya, Solov, Nikita Bedrin, and Hugh Barter. So Hugh Barter, I thought he was actually going to be doing a little bit better then. I think he was in British F4 before this season, and I think he might have came first there. So I think I predicted him to be a little bit better. And Solov, especially, there was just so much hype around him. Granted, he doesn't have a ton of experience, but what he had done, he was very successful in. So I thought he would be potentially a top 10 driver. That wasn't the case. Mid-season rankings, I put him P18, and end of the year, I still kept him at P18. Is there any drivers, let's see, that I got dead on so far? Again, nope, nothing within this group. So let's move on to the next one. Christian Mansell, Gregoire Saucy, Johnny Edgar, and Sebastian Montoya. So of this group, I think this is where we had one great surprise and a few disappointments. So Christian Mansell was a rookie. I wasn't really too sure what to expect of him. He didn't really have a stellar, a stellar resume coming in. So that's why I put around P20, especially because the team that he was driving with, it's like, all right, it's respectable. But he surprised me mid-season. I had him P15. He had a good ending to the season, especially I'm thinking of Monza where he was battling for the win. I think that was the future race. No, not Monza, Spa. And so he jumped up to P13 by my end of the season. Yeah, Gregoire Saucy, he's a veteran. He was expected to be very good. I actually put him P4 in my preseason rankings. And he dropped down to P9, and he dropped down even more to P14. And then, let's see what my other stuff was. Johnny Edgar, I thought he'd be doing a little bit better with more experience. He's got his health back, but didn't really work out. He turned it around a little bit after the midseason, but not much. Sebastian Montoya, beginning of the season, I actually predicted him to be worse. He had a very good start to the season, but then he kind of fell off. It is what it is. He's been dropped by Red Bull. I think he's actually back for another year. But, yeah. I didn't really have too high hopes for him anyways. Next group. All right, we're getting into groups of 2. In P11, I put Luke Browning. And P12, I put Taylor Barnard. So Taylor Barnard, I know he was one of those rookies who I paid a little bit of attention to. I think it was the like UAE F4 or Formula Regional Middle Eastern Series, one of those ones. And Taylor Barnard was very good in that. And I remember I wanted to rank him higher going into my rankings, like preseason rankings, but I just couldn't. So I'm actually very happy that he's performed as well as he did. And I think he's actually in F2 now next year. But yeah, he was very, very good. And then same kind of applies for Luke Browning. I didn't know how good he would do, but he got off to a very good start. It's cooled off a little bit towards the end of the season, but I think he could line himself up for a very good year next year. All right, I think we're into still just sets of 2. P9, I put Kyle Collette. He's just never been able to match that rookie season that he had with MP Motorsport. It's kind of unfortunate, and I know he's now been dropped by the Alpine Academy. I think, is he doing another year? I don't even know. I do not even know, but he's a good driver. He's a decent driver. Probably won't ever get to major success, at least within single seaters. But I think he's got himself a good career ahead of him. And then Ollie Goethe, he was a rookie. He was kind of highly touted a little bit. I think he was with Trident, right? Yeah. Of the Trident bunch, I actually thought he might do particularly well amongst the group. I picked him P13 because I know the last series he was in before this he won, and he did very good, I think, in Hungary last season. But yeah, no, he did very good. I picked him at 13. He was at 13 in my mid-season rankings, and he jumped up to P10 now for the end of the year. So very good, solid rookie season. And yeah, now he's up for, I believe he's with Red Bull for a second season now. So let's see what he can do. Last set of 2, I put in P7 Gabriele Mini and Leonardo Fornaroli. So Mini is probably disappointed a little bit with this season, especially I considered him very, very high after his season in Freca. I thought he could be a top 2, maybe even contend for a title. Granted, I think he was held back a little bit with high tech. I think now that he's going to Prema next season, watch out for him. He's going to be absolutely dangerous. And then Leonardo Fornaroli, I never know how to judge the drivers with Trident because their resumes going in are just nothing really spectacular. But Trident just seems to be so amazing with an F3. If they could somehow get a little bit of that performance into F2, that would be so good for the sport. But yeah, Fornaroli, good rookie season. He'll be back. He'll be leading Trident next year. This is where I start to individualize the drivers a little bit. So Pepe Marti, beginning of the season, I didn't think he'd be a top 10 driver. I thought he'd be all right, but he had himself a very good year. You can see, I originally predicted him to finish maybe 11th. By the midseason, I had him P5. He dropped down 1 to P6 in my books. He's one of those drivers, basically had a little bit of inconsistency. If you can see the quality average over here, 10.5, average finish 8.69. So his actual average qualifying rank was about P10. It's nothing fantastic, but he was very good in the races, it seems. So got himself up to P4 at the average finish rank. Finished P5 in the points, got himself 3 wins, 4 podiums. So yeah, that's if he was on the podium, he was winning, essentially. Or he had pole. But if he wasn't very, very high up, he was kind of middle of the pack. I think he needs to get a little bit more consistency. I don't know if jumping to F2 was the right call for him, but it's not a bad call for him either. I don't think it's undeserved. Going to P5, I put Zach O'Sullivan. I know he finished P2 in the standings, but again, similar to Pepe Marti, I just, you can see it right here. He's got 4 wins and only 5 podiums. So again, he was either winning, doing very, very, very well, or just kind of middle of the pack. And that doesn't necessarily always translate. Yeah, qualifying average, just under 9th. So actual P7 as far as the actual ranking of qualifying goes, and P5 as far as actual finish position. So 5th place makes actually a lot of sense for me personally. I just couldn't really put him higher as much as I think he could potentially have himself a good future. It's just I think there were stronger drivers this year. P4, I put Dino Bogdanovic, or Bogdanovic. I don't know if it's Vich or Vic. But this is the driver who I thought would be maybe dominant, maybe the absolute hyped kid of Ferrari going into F3. It didn't quite happen. He didn't have a bad season at all. Like his qualifying rank is the best. Over a single lap, like if he got the chance to perform, he was the best of the field. He needs to work on his racecraft, it seems, a little bit. He didn't get any wins, but he did get a bunch of podiums. So he has that at least consistency to him of being up there and scoring. It's just he's got a couple things to work on. I think he needs that second season. He's still very young, and granted, Ferrari have a couple options with Behrman, him. Who else do they have at this point? Leclerc is not in the program anymore, but I can see him potentially getting into F1 within the next couple years. It can very well happen. And yeah, he'll need to build off of that, and now he's going to have himself another good rivalry with Mini for teammates going into next season. In P3, I put Franco Colapinto. So this was a driver who I kind of thought would make a big jump up going into the season, and he actually finished exactly where I predicted him. I thought he'd be P3. He ended up being P3 in my rankings. He's P4 in the points totals, really, but he just had himself a very good, consistent season. Didn't really get into too much trouble, and I think he's going to do really good in F2 if he's given the right opportunities. Moving up into P2, I put Paul Aaron. This was a guy I wasn't really too sure of. I know he had a little bit of hype with Mercedes backing him, and I just wasn't really seeing it, but he proved me wrong. And yeah, because I can see I predicted him to be around 7th best, which granted, 7th best is not bad at all. I just didn't think he would be really contending at all. And yeah, he proved me wrong. He did technically take it to the end of the year, and he'll be in F2 next year. Granted, it looks like he chose to leave Mercedes, I'm guessing because of the Antonelli promotion up into F2, but that's something else entirely different. He's done very good. I'm hoping he gets some success, but yeah, he's just kind of there. He's regular, performs, and I mean, number one was obvious. It was always going to be Gabriel Bortoleto. His season was just unreal. That was crazy good season. And it was a rookie too. That's wow. This one of the better F3 seasons ever. It can't be understated. I think in my total rankings across the entire thing, he was number 1 or number 2 in every single category. I think he could have been better in qualifying. I think that's probably the only thing. And he was the second best qualifier in the field. But I think that's where he needed to work on. He got 2 wins near the beginning of the season, and then he didn't win after that at all. He got himself some podiums, absolutely, but he's got some places to improve still. So that brings... Oh, I made a little... I thought of something to do, awards. So if anyone thinks of anything to do for other videos, just let me know, because I wanted to have some fun with it. So yeah, best surprise performance, in my opinion, was Christian Mansell. I didn't think he would be that great as a rookie, but he's done fantastic. I think he'll be awesome to watch next year with ART. I'm really hoping he has success. He just... very, very likable driver, in my opinion. So my driver to watch next year is Gabriele Mini. I think jumping from high-tech to Prema, he's a quality driver. I think he's definitely going to be a contender for the title next year. The best part-time driver, he only did 1 round, but Joshua Dufek. I might be saying his name wrong. It's Dufek or Dufek, I don't know. But that 1 round that he did, he was great. Absolutely all credit to him. Rookie of the year, no questions. Gabriel Bortoleto. He won the championship. It goes without saying. Most improved driver from the year before has to be Franco Colapinto. I can't remember what his standings were last year, but I had to look it over when I was doing this. But he had a very good season, and definitely took a big step up from the season before. Biggest disappointment, has to be Kalen Frederick. 100% without a doubt. Like, I was rewatching the Monza races, and like anytime he was getting in contact with someone, like I felt like even the commentators were like, "Ooh, this has been a very bad year for him." It's like everyone could see it. Everyone could see it. There was no hiding it whatsoever. Which I believe brings me then to my like overall like rankings, because I've got my little color coding. So purple, obviously. Championship contenders, they deserve promotion. So I only had one this year, Gabriel Bortoleto. If he didn't get a promotion to F2, there would be absolute like crime to pay for that. So if they score within a 5 to 10, it's a great season. Absolutely deserve a promotion to F2 if it's through their academy or if they happen to be a paid driver. There's absolutely no denying that these drivers are deserving of those promotions. So that I put in that category. Paul Aaron, he's going to F2. Franco Colapinto, he's going to F2. Bogdanovic, he's taking another year in F3. So he's probably my favorite for next season. Zach O'Sullivan, he's going to F2. Pepe Marti, he's going to F2. So like, of my 6 who I put as worthy of going to F2, 5 are going. So I'm very, very, very happy with that. I think there's one other driver who's going to F2. It's like, oh yeah, Taylor Barnard. I think that's very premature for Taylor Barnard to be going there. But it was a rookie year, and I'm guessing he must have some sort of backing that gets him there. Although he's with PHM. Yeah, I think PHM, he's probably just got some decent backing to him. And so yeah, Gabriele Mini, he made some mistakes in the final couple rounds that had me drop him down a little bit. I think he would have been right with Pepe Marti before, but he had some at-fault DNFs, such as Spa, and yeah, that kind of just dropped him down a little bit. So I think him, Fornaroli, and Collette were all really close with each other at the end. Yeah, Goethe, Browning, Barnard, Mansell, Saucy, Edgar, Montoya, Boya, Solov, Bedrin, and Hugh Barter. Just good. Solid years. Nothing to complain about. This yellow category is drivers that needed to improve. For next season, they need to improve if they're a rookie. If they're not a rookie, that's just kind of embarrassing for them. Oh, which is funny because included in this category is Rafael Villagomez, who is going to F2. That makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. He'll probably be in my F2 prediction as last place. But whatever. Kalen Frederick, it's time to move on. Sophia Florsch, I don't think she technically counts as a rookie. I know she's done a season of F3 before. But good for her. She had a really good round at, Belgium. And she's within a better team next year, so that might be fun to watch. Tommy Smith, time to move on. Ito Cohen, time to move on. Wisnicki, I think you're a rookie, so hey, that kind of rhymes. Hunter Yanni, time to move on. Oliver Gray, you're a rookie, I can give you the benefit of the doubt. Alex Garcia, time to move on. And this driver in the red categories is just they need to leave open-wheeled single-seaters. Absolutely. Go to GT cars, go to IMSA, go do something else. It's not going to fly for you in open-wheeled single-seaters. Like, it's too competitive for you. So, goodbye, Roberto Ferraya. Peace be with you. You need to go. There's just no way around that. So, one thing I like to include that I do actually track myself is I kind of have an archive of all of this data I track. So the top 10 best seasons ever in F3. Granted, I think my stats are a little bit skewed right now, but going into this year, I had Schwartzman, Hauger, Daruvala, Doohan, Armstrong, Piastri, Sargent, Porcher, Novalak, and Behrman. So I think the 2019-2020 stats are a little bit skewed, but I know some of the more recent ones after that are definitely very good. So for example, Clement Novalak, he had a very, very, very good year. That when he finished, what was it, P2? No, or P3 in the standings that year. He had a fantastic year. Absolutely deserved a promotion to F2. It just didn't work out for him. Same goes for Doohan. Same goes for Hauger. heck, like, of these drivers, only 2 of them have gone on to F1. And a lot of people hate Logan Sargent, so that's kind of funny. So, after completing this last season, I actually only added 1 driver to this list. Obviously, that being Gabriel Bortoleto. He now has, in my opinion, granted, I do have to reevaluate it, the 2nd best ever season in Formula 3. He was fantastic. There wasn't anyone else that even came close to like a great performance that even touches any of these drivers when they were in F3. Bortoleto was just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now I'm trying to think if I have any more slides. I do not. So with that being said, thank you for watching. If you are here, let me know what your opinions are for rankings. We're gonna do a 2024 prediction video shortly. Hopefully that'll come out within before the season starts. And yeah, whoop. Come watch me on Twitch there. I can see it's below me. And yeah, we'll play some video games and we're gonna have some fun.